All right, today I'm speaking on how narcissists ruin your ability to form deep connections, once everything's over with and done. So, as humans, we're wired for connection, right? We're wired for real emotional, soul level connection. But when you cross paths with a narcissist, especially in close relationships, like close interpersonal relationships, that wiring gets short circuited. It doesn't happen overnight, but gradually and subtly. And by the time you realize what happened, you're questioning your instincts, your worth, your ability to truly bond with anyone. And so we have to look at the illusion of depth, right? Narcissists often present a false front, charming, attentive, and even an emotionally attuned person at first to you, right? They mimic connection, not because they feel it, but because they know it earns your trust. You open up to them, they mirror you. You feel seen, but they're pretty much just scanning for control points. This creates a false intimacy where you think a real bond is forming, but it's one-sided, right? Um, Over time, right, when we get to the point of having that emotional validation shaken, um, narcissists chip away at you, at your emotional reality, basically. All right, they deny your feelings, they minimize your needs, and they try to, or they make you feel like you're too sensitive or you're too needy, and all of this erodes your trust in your own emotions. This is one thing people don't talk about, is like you begin to not trust your own emotions. You can't properly decipher why and how you're feeling the way that you're feeling, and then you have a problem like reading it, basically. So this happens a lot of times when people actually get to that point, and eventually you stop expressing yourself fully because you fear judgment, or you fear rejection or dismissal. And if you can't express yourself, you can't connect, right? And that's because the conditional love and them withholding affection. See, narcissists use connection like currency. Affection, praise, and presence become transactional, given only when you meet their needs. When you're or when you're compliant to them, they give you warmth. When you express a boundary, they withdraw, or they have that narcissistic rage, right? This is to condition your mind and your emotions to be in tune with what they want. This teaches you that love is earned, not given freely, and you begin to suppress parts of yourself to keep that peace. They gaslight, they create that self-doubt. And this happens by manipulating your perception of reality, making you question events, your memory, or your own judgment in a lot of these instances. And you begin to doubt your instincts. You hesitate before speaking or expressing yourself. You pull back from others, not because you're closed off, but because you don't know what's real anymore. Deep connections that require trust, especially in the beginning, and especially within yourself first and then others, narcissists destroy both of those things. And so isolation and emotional detachment starts to set in, and once they've worn you down, you may feel emotionally numb or guarded. You might avoid closeness to avoid that pain again. You might feel that nobody really knows or love the real you after dealing with a narcissist. You feel like no one's gonna get you anyway, so why give yourself in that way? Or you gave so much with this person and look what it got you, so why extend and put out in that way again? Why do it again? Because you've already done it and it got you nowhere. And it's because of this interaction with narcissists, they have rewired your emotional composition, right? To how you are and how you're able to express and all these things. So once this happens, you're kind of screwed. You're at a point, and you've gotten to a point where you can't really feel anything. You're just kind of like going with the flow. You don't really know why. You'll label it and say, oh, it's because I've learned now. But it's also a key point to reprogramming yourself from what the narcissist has done. You have to understand that you've been rewired emotionally. Your brain has been rewired. And now it's having a hard time relating and creating those connections and accepting them, right? It can't filter and read through them properly. And so once that sets in, yeah, you definitely have a different element of a problem on your hands, because no matter in what way and how hard you try, or you tell yourself you're healed, you're over it, that rewiring still stays. And it just doesn't go away on its own. And it's where a lot of you have found yourselves, and the reason why it's become like a lot of things that you had interest in or used to be excitable to you or you would get motivated by, it's not there anymore because you've been emotionally rewired. Some of you may think, oh, that's a good thing, but your emotions have been rewired to suit the abuser, right? And so your whole rewiring has put you in a position of where you have been molded and rewired to basically deal with, tolerate an abuser. And then you get away from that abuser, but you still have been rewired. And this is why a lot of you kind of, like I said, remain stuck, remain unable to pull out of that rut that you feel that you're in, and it's unexplainable and you can't understand why. Why do you feel so different? Because now you know everything, but you still don't feel like you used to feel. You still don't feel quite like you before this. Everything seems different. Everything is being interpreted differently. And that's because they have eroded and destroyed the way you are able to emotionally connect with things and people. It's a real thing, folks. It really is. Escaping a narcissist is not just about walking away. It's about reclaiming your right to feel again, to connect again, to love, and to be loved without conditions. And this is why I always say healing is a journey. It's a journey back to emotional safety, emotional confidence as well, right? Within yourself. And that's the first thing. And then with others, but you have to tend to being confident and secure within yourself first. But, you can get there. It is possible to get there. And every day you validate your feelings and you assert your worth and risk vulnerability with someone safe, you're undoing the damage that the narcissist has created while being with you. So it's just something to take note of and to understand and to realize, that many of you are still emotionally damaged because you've been emotionally rewired by the narcissist. Even though you may have gotten away, you may call yourself healed, the way that you are and how you operate is not totally who you used to be. Anyway, if you found anything useful in this message, consider to like, share, subscribe, hit the like button. Reach out to me if you need a consultation. My email's in the description box. Until next time, have a good one. Be safe, folks.